I'm joined now by senior correspondent of the Australian Financial Review, Aaron Patrick, and social media commentator, Prue MacSween. Thank you to you both for joining me tonight.
Pleasure. Thanks, Corey.
Good evening, Corey.
Prue, can I start with you? The Atlantic magazine, that group that did the hit job on Donald Trump, which was widely discredited, but didn't stop them publishing it, has now published a piece calling for the abolition of the Nobel Peace Prize, principally because Donald Trump has been nominated twice. Should we get rid of the Nobel Peace Prize, Prue?
Well, to be honest, I think it's not a bad idea because to me it's just a political appointment. You know, we had Obama receiving it, 12 days into office, and what did he do in those 12 days? You know, it's clear that they hate Trump. They would never, ever allow him to win it. Unless he maybe invests in Norway, isn't it? The Norwegian Parliament that actually appoints the judges. So maybe if he dumps a ton of money there, he might win his way in. But, you know, seriously, the guy has brokered, you know, some sort of an agreement now with Bahrain as well as the UAE and Israel. He deserves it, I believe. It's the second time I know he's been nominated and he's pushing, you know what, uphill to get one. But really, I just think it hasn't got a lot of credibility anymore.
Well, Prue, I happen to agree with you, and in the interest of disclosure, I said it should have been abandoned when Obama got one.
Yeah.
But if anyone deserves one, Aaron, surely the US president does. He's done a reasonable peace deal with the UAE and Israel, Bahrain, as Prue just pointed out. And I noticed today that Morocco are even resuming direct flights into Israel. Surely they're noteworthy and worthy of a peace prize from even a flawed organisation like the Nobel Group.
Well, Corey, I think probably the last person on the world at the moment who deserves the Nobel Peace Prize is President Trump. Sure, look, this is great news about the UAE and Bahrain opening up relations with Israel. But come on, seriously, does anyone really out there think that it was President Trump who made this happen and he deserves credit for it and he should be awarded this prize? Surely it would just, you know, make the whole thing completely ridiculous and trivialise, you know, what should be a really important recognition of people who've done great things for the world.
Well, Aaron, can I just pick up on that? I mean, what about Barack Obama? Did he deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, or was that just for PC and having the right colour skin rather than actually doing anything of substance?
Well, look, putting aside his skin colour, I think that was too early, 2009. I'm personally against sitting politicians getting these big prizes. I think it should be for people who are lesser known, who wouldn't use it for their sort of political benefit, or wouldn't receive political benefit from it. Perhaps retired politicians like Jimmy Carter should be eligible for it. But no, look, I agree with you, Corey. I think that was not the right time to be recognising what President Obama has done. And
let's not forget that Greta was on that stage, wasn't she? Didn't she get nominated for a Nobel Prize?
Well, I think it's pretty easy to get nominated, isn't it, these days?
Yeah, well, she came pretty close.
There's 171 nominees, so Trump's got his work cut out for him. But sticking with the US president for a moment, and US politics, he's taken his campaign to Nevada as he fights for votes in the key battleground state. The polls allegedly are closing. Prue, have you been following this contest, and do you think he's got a chance of winning Nevada?
Yeah, I think he's got a chance of winning. You know, I've put some money on him because, you know, again, it comes down to Sleepy Joe has been hiding. I can understand why they want to hide him because, you know, the guy's in I believe, in early stages of dementia. And, you know, I think he's a danger to himself and everyone else if he even opens his mouth. So I think that Trump, while he has not played the coronavirus, you know, pandemic very well politically or in fact generally, I think that, you know, before that he was delivering on his promises, and I think that middle America were doing quite well under Trump, and he was delivering everything he said for them, which included jobs and an increase in, you know, their income. So I think if he doesn't put a further step wrong, we know that that revelation of the, you know, the Woodward book hasn't really been the gotcha moment that they were hoping it would be. People know that he's got a loose tongue. He calls people losers who he shouldn't, but we don't even know if that was correct. So I think he's got quite a good chance. While, you know, Bernie continues to influence Biden, and he's doing that even more so. He's trying to come out and make sure that, you know, that the Sanders very left aspect of his policies are influencing Biden, and if he continues to do that, I think that Trump's going to get a better chance of winning.
Aaron, that's an interesting point, that Biden has been influenced by Sanders. In Nevada, the battleground state, Hillary Clinton won it, I think, narrowly last time, and the Biden support was very thin on the ground, particularly amongst a high demographic Latino voters who skewed strongly towards the Bernie Sanders sort of economic theory. And with the Democrat machine sort of grounded by coronavirus, do you think they'll hang on to Nevada at this election?
Look, pretty hard to tell, Corey. My understanding is Nevada's quite heavily unionised state, so it should be strong for the Democrats. You know, you've got a lot of people working in the casinos and other entertainment industries, which have been hit pretty hard by the pandemic. So you would expect Biden to pick it up, and it's a real test of whether the Republicans can pull out the numbers. And I think it's really important to emphasise here that there's a lot of Republicans who are deeply disillusioned with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, even though he's very good at getting the populist vote and appealing to conservative, rural, white men and women, amongst those people who believe in free trade, you know, and rule of law and America leading the world in terms of, you know, promoting peace and prosperity internationally, a lot of Republicans are very disappointed with him. So there's nothing wrong with being Republican and a centre-right person and being embarrassed by Donald Trump.
Well, speaking of internal divides and peace and prosperity, what about the New South Wales government, where the fracture has been laid bare? Today, Police Minister David Elliott has slammed Nationals leader John Barilaro. Here he was today, quickly.
The fact that he's gone to ground at the moment is weak, and I think that he probably needs to consider his own position, and we don't want to see blood on the floor. If you're going to put a gun to somebody's head, make sure it's not a water pistol.
Aaron, we haven't got much time, but will John Barilaro survive as Nationals leader? And what motivated his meltdown last week?
Well look, John Barilaro was responding to groundswell of deep concern in rural areas about this new planning policy, and there's a map that the Department of Environment's done which shows potential breeding grounds for koalas across the state, but it goes down to the individual level of trees, including areas where koalas have been seen for a long time. So rural voters are really upset about that. So Barilaro, in his own sort of awkward, over-the-top way, was really saying to them, hey, we'll stand up to the Liberal Party. The problem is the Liberal Party hates it, and now they're out to try and get him. Whether Nationals will fold to that, hard to see, though, because they hate being pushed around by city politicians. So Barilaro, gee, he's in trouble, but I wouldn't write him off yet.
OK, Prue, I'm going to ask you this. John Barilaro wasn't backed by his ministers. They weren't prepared to resign their cosy ministerial positions and sit on the crossbench or on the backbench. Does that sound the death knell for his leadership? Look,
I think he's on, very, awkward ground here. He's one of those hotheads who doesn't always think before he speaks. But, he's fighting for the Nationals. The Liberal Party's trying to get the Greens on side because they need it. That's why they're making this big play with the koala push. I love koalas. I love farmers more, and this is not going to be tenable for the farmers. So, frankly, I hope Barilaro has made them really reconsider this ridiculous bill, because it's going to be really hard for farmers to survive, and I think that's where it's wrong. He's played it wrong, but, that's Barra.
We've got it. I've got a wrap. So, Prue, Aaron, thanks so much for your time tonight.